Franklin, and I work at Carbon County Environmental Education Center. And this is Ranee. Ranee is a 20-year-old American bald eagle. She came to our center injured. She was hit by a car when she was about 1.5 years old, and we nursed her back to health. She had an injured wing, and she has a broken talon. Oh, I know. And she had a pretty bad whack to the head, too. So because of that, her eyes are 2 different colors, and she can only see out of one eye. So because of all those things, she can't be released into the wild. But she's a great teaching tool. She's a great representative or teacher of what it's like to be an eagle in the human world. So she has a lot of things that make her successful in the wild. Eagles in general have fantastic eyesight. They can see things so far away, things that we couldn't possibly see. Of course they can fly. Her wings and her feathers enable her to move from place to place very easily. She has very large feet and very large talons that enable her to catch fish. And that's her primary food source. That's what she eats the most of. Because she eats fish, she also lives near water. Eagles do tend to build their nests near water because that's where their food is. And we talk about that all the time. Just about all the animals that I can think of live near the food that they eat. That's the most important factor in where do I build a nest or where do I want to live. They don't want to have to travel miles and miles and miles to get their food. There's only one animal that I can think of that does that, and that's us. We drive to the grocery store all the time to get food, and then we have to drag it back. And I always say, wouldn't it just be easier to live in the grocery store? So the eagle, the bald eagle, is the representative of the United States of America, the country that we live in. She was chosen way back in 1782 as the symbol of our country. They're thought of to be a strong bird, a confident bird, and a good representative. So when we look on our money, sometimes on flagpoles, on the mail truck, you'll see a picture of an eagle. And that's why, because it is the symbol of the United States of America. She's not only the official bird of the United States, but she's also the official animal. There are no official mammals or official reptiles or official amphibians or fish or insects or anything of the United States, just this bird as a representative of our country. So as far as conservation goes, that is the status that they have in our country right now. They ran into some problems a long time ago. Some things were happening with them, and we were losing our bald eagles. They were dying off because of things that people were doing. We were using some bad bug sprays and so forth in our farms, and as the rain would wash the bug spray off the plants, it would end up in our rivers and streams, and as eagles would ingest the fish that were in our, that means to eat, that were in our rivers and streams, their reproductive system, their ability to have babies was kind of getting messed up, and we weren't having babies born anymore. So as old eagles died off, new eagles weren't taking their place, and we had some serious problems trying to get these birds back. We, as a people, realized that we were making a mistake with this bug spray, and our government outlawed it. They said, you're not allowed to use it anymore, and after that, the numbers have started to come way back up. These birds are no longer an endangered species. That means they're no longer disappearing. As a matter of fact, they've been taken off the endangered species list, and their numbers are almost where they were when we started to live here in the United States and to inhabit Pennsylvania and the rest of the country. So their eyesight is tremendous. When I was a young boy in Boy Scouts, or in Cub Scouts, my Cub Scout leader was named Hawkeye. We named him, I didn't name him, but he was named Hawkeye, and it was because he could see things that we couldn't possibly see. He would point to something and say, there's a such and such animal, or there's a nest from this kind of bird, and we would have to walk, 200, 300 yards to see it, and there, sure enough it was. These birds can see things from great distances away, probably 10 times what we can see. If this bird is flying at 1,000 feet in the air, can see a rabbit on the ground. From a mile in the, or from 1,000 feet in the air, they have about a 4 square mile view. That means they can see whatever there is to see in 4 square miles. And that benefits them because they fly high up above lakes and streams, and they can look down and see a fish in there. They can swoop down and grab a hold of that fish that we possibly couldn't see from the angle that we're on. Now these birds don't dive. They don't go underwater and pull up fish like osprey do. These birds will wait for a fish to swim to the surface, near the surface, and then they'll swoop down and grab a hold of that fish with their talons. I know, off the surface of the water. That's interesting that she did that too, because some people hear a bird every once in a while and they think it's an eagle. And I hope you can hear this, but I'll play this call. That's a pretty cool call, but it's not an eagle. That's not what eagles really sound like. And it's rare that she actually made a call for us, but this is what most eagles sound like. And it's not very impressive at all. It's just kind of, some people say she sounds like a big chicken. And that's why some people, they want to give them a different call. When we see eagles on television or in movies sometimes, they play that cool red-tailed hawk call because they want this bird to be even cooler than she really is. But I don't know. I think she's pretty cool myself. I really do. These birds can soar or glide during migration. That means in the fall when they leave, they go down south where it's warm. Not because they don't like the cold. Eagles do very well in the cold. But migration happens because they leave to go find food. Here in Pennsylvania especially, our lakes often freeze in the wintertime, so there's no fish available. So these birds have to go down south where the lakes don't freeze, and then they're able to catch fish down there. But during migration, they use these wonderful currents, these rising currents called thermals and all kinds of things, and they can cruise at speeds of, at heights of 10,000 feet or more. I know a young man who's graduating from college. He's getting a pilot's license, and he said his airplane isn't even allowed to fly at 10,000 feet. He just flies a small airplane. And they can easily cruise at speeds of 80 or 90 miles an hour if they get the right wind. Her wingspan is about 6 feet, because she's a fairly small eagle. Now you can see that her feathers are kind of broken off on her left wing. That's because that's the wing that got injured, and it kind of droops down sometimes. And she walks on them or drags them on the ground and they wear off. It's kind of like if someone drags one foot, they wear a shoe out. But these will grow back in. They molt out, they fall out, and she can grow new feathers back in. But that wingspan of about 6 feet, they use that for cruising and flying, and they're very good at flying with those wings. Now, she's a female, and generally females are larger than males, but she's a tiny little girl. She's a tiny little female, and we think maybe that's how she got in trouble in the first place. She was not very good at finding food, so she was eating something dead on the side of the road and ended up getting hit by a car. But some large females can have a wingspan of almost 8 feet in width. So she's only about 6 feet. I'm not even 6 feet tall though, so her wingspan is wider than I am tall. But they use those wings for cruising and gliding. Now, when she first came in, she didn't have a white head or, and if I can turn her around, a white tail that you can see there. Her head was brown, her eyes were brown, and her tail was brown, and she was kind of boring. And what happens as they get older, they grow in white tail feathers and head feathers. Their beaks get bright yellow, and their eyes get bright yellow. And that's an indicator to other eagles that now I'm a grown-up. I can take care of myself, and I can take care of a family. When they're younger and they're all brown, it's kind of like a signal that says, I'm just little. I'm just a kid right now, and I still might need a little bit of help, or I still might make some mistakes and need a little bit of assistance from an adult bird, kind of like humans. There's a certain point in our lives when we decide, okay, I'm old enough to take care of myself. But sometimes it takes longer for others. So that's our story about Ranee, the bald eagle that lives here at Carbon County Environmental Education Center. And one last thing, you can visit her. We are open to the public. Our boardwalk and our eagle cages are open free of charge, 365 days a year, from dawn until dusk. So do come visit Ranee. She probably will talk to you if you go down and talk to her. But we hope to see you soon. Thank you for your time.